Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here on another episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I'm your host, Julie Fairhurst, and today I have a very interesting lady. She's got a real amazing story to tell. So let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're just going to dive right into what she's got to say. Okay, so today on the Women Like Me Stories and Business podcast, I'm joined by Holly Porter. Holly is a speaker, she's an entrepreneur, and she's a 17-time author. So she's been in some books. And she has written her newest book about a near-death experience as a survivor. And she has also founded the International Retreat Association and Retreat R&R. So Holly's story is one of survival, awakening, and purpose. She's dedicated her life to helping others rise through adversity, lead with greater purpose, and live with more intention. So today we're going to talk about dying, what dying taught Holly about life, business to encourage to listen when life forces you to wake up. So, Holly, welcome to the Women Like Me Stories in Business podcast. I'm really excited to have you here today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Julie. What a nice
You're,
introduction.
oh, thank you. Okay, Holly, let's start off. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do today?
Okay. Wow, what I do today is way different than what I had planned on doing. But I was raised an entrepreneur, so I really have been an entrepreneur all my life. The International Retreat Association is my 12th startup company, and that
Wow.
idea was gifted, is what I would call it, to me while I was writing the Near Death Shift book, which is the one I'm obviously most proud of after a near-death experience. And I just knew it needed to be some kind of a learning experience for people. So it's my first spiritual book that I've made, and it's also a personal development book. So the first half is my story. The second half is all of the lessons in the SHIFT acronym that I created. And there's just like all kinds of miracles weaved in there a whole chapter actually is about miracles. So many things that
Wow.
happened that shifted what I'm doing today, which even the name of the book, I mean, that wasn't the name for the first 2 years while I was working on it. And it's just interesting how life just throws us curveballs. But while I was
Yeah.
in that spiritual place, I got the idea to start this association, which I was not looking for. It is my 12th startup company. I was not looking for another one at all. I
Yeah.
was working on my nonprofit, working on Retreat R&R. And, sometimes when you least expect it is when you get those curveballs and that's the setups are for the comebacks, and so
Yeah.
it's the comeback story that I'm interested in.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Wow. Well, let's start with the fact that you were in the hospital for 70 days. So, can you tell us why you ended up being hospitalized for 70 days?
Yeah, so COVID. I
Yeah.
It was fall of 21 and I went to a conference and we were just starting to meet in person again. They followed all the protocols. I blame nobody.
Yeah.
I was super healthy, so I really never thought I'd get COVID. And so when I came home sick, I just thought I had the flu for the first couple days. I was actually sick for a week before I intuitively woke up one morning about 4:30, said, we got to get to the hospital. I'm in trouble. I had given COVID to my husband, so he was about 2 days behind me. I don't know how he
Oh,
got us to the hospital. That was another miracle. He says he dropped me off the front and went and parked, and we know how slow the ER is. He says
yeah.
I walked back into the ER and they already had you gone to the ICU
Wow.
that fast. So like my oxygen was 63, my
Oh,
organs were shutting down. Like I intuitively listened and, and I'm glad
yeah.
because I probably wouldn't have lived more than a few more hours. And that began my first of 70 days in two different hospitals. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And so, well, tell us a little bit more about that. So, was that this 70-day period? Was that when you had your near-death experience?
It was. So I
Oh,
was in
well,
the
just
first
tell us.
hospital.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I was in the first hospital. There's so much to tell, probably way longer than the show. But first
that's okay.
hospital about a month, and then I was transferred. So I had two intubations, trachea, sepsis, all kinds of
Wow.
other infections that I could have
Sepsis?
died from. Sepsis, yeah. I mean, you name it, I
Wow.
got it. Second hospital
Wow.
actually is when I got sepsis. But I had some life-threatening infections that I can't even pronounce the names that they said that was almost worse than COVID. Like that would have killed me
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
I'm a natural redhead. So we metabolize, if people don't know that, very differently than people. So you feel pain more, but it takes a lot more drugs to like bring your pain down. I was being overdosed, withdrawal at the same time. My body was metabolizing fentanyl every 20 minutes, and they were giving it to me every hour. I mean, it was just like some scary, scary stuff. I was in a coma probably about, I would say total, I was probably put in Deuce coma like 30 days, maybe a little bit less.
Oh,
I was grateful because I remember all five senses were gone. So they tie your hands to a bed when you're on a ventilator so you won't pull it out. I had no desire to do that. I knew that was helping me breathe, and I kind of wanted my breath. I never
yes.
suffered from anxiety or PTSD later. I mean, just I'd never had those kind of emotions, and
Mm.
so it was scary, really scary. So I was really grateful to be in a coma. My taste and smell were gone, obviously, because I had COVID. My eyesight, I'm already legally blind, so without correction, I couldn't see who anyone was unless they were about 8 inches in front of my face. And then they had the yellow hat, the mask, the gown, and most of
Yeah.
them wore some kind of eye protection if they didn't already wear glasses. So everyone looked the same. And I couldn't hear. So if they're talking to know their voice, like 90% of my hearing was gone somehow from the ventilator, which we never could figure out why. So everyone sounded like the Charlie Brown school teacher. Wah, wah, wah. That's what everybody sounded like. So yeah, put me in a coma, wake me up when it's over, and I'm good.
Yeah, yes, no kidding. So there were moments when you knew your life was hanging by a thread. Was that before, or did you find all that out after the coma?
I think I just thought I was really sick at home. I don't even
Mm,
hardly remember that week when my husband tells me little things. I'm like, I know I was messaging people. Huh, I don't know what I told them. It was some crazy
yeah,
things, I'm sure. And so once I was in the hospital, yeah, I knew I was in trouble. In fact, I was quite surprised that they didn't put me on a ventilator for 4 days. I kind of think I was telling them no because knowing
mm,
me, I'm super holistic. So, and back then, you on a ventilator, you die. That's kind of what we knew. If
yeah,
they, that's
yeah,
kind of the end of it all. So when I finally
yeah.
agreed to, I mean, I remember listening to the call because, by the way, my husband he couldn't come for 3.5 weeks to the hospital because he had COVID. They wouldn't let him in. I could have, luckily,
Wow.
a lot of people died alone. I'm so grateful. I could have one person every 24 hours. So I mostly had, I have two sisters that are younger than me and they're twins. They would rotate every 24 hours. They knew intuitively that I needed someone there. Not, I
Yeah,
don't know if it was for the accountability for the medical staff,
yeah.
if it was just because I needed to know somebody was there, because I'm pretty independent. I don't know what it was, but they caught on real soon and they stayed and helped me. And then they snuck my husband in. Like they would always bring the nurses, by the way, be nice to your staff, medical staff.
Yes,
And your babysitters
yes,
for that matter. I always remembered who was
yeah.
nice to me when I had my daycare. It was like, just be nice and kind to people. They would bring cookies and they would, even to housekeeping, they just always
Yeah.
treated everybody so good. And so when it came time for my husband, he could only like physically get there for like 2 hours at a time because he was on oxygen. He had blood clots, he had issues, just not hospitalized. And so he just couldn't handle like, the exhaustion. I think he would have got better a lot faster if he would have been home worrying about me,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
they would let him come in for those couple hours, even though I can only have one person. They'd come in and then they'd just take a break or whatever. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was just like so crazy. And so that all my out of body life, so near death, out of body, whole bunch of out of body, and my spiritual transforming experience all happened that first 3.5 weeks because my husband came to the day that I got the trachea. That was
Yeah.
actually the healing. That was like, oh no, this is a good thing, I'm
Right.
like it is.
Yeah.
But they said that's progress, and then they kick you out of that hospital, and they made me go to another one because I wasn't as high risk, which is where
Right.
I got sepsis at the other one. Not blaming them,
No,
not
no,
blaming.
of
I
course.
had good
Yes.
care. I really did have good care. I
Yeah.
mean, they gave me every known drug there is. I don't know how I didn't come out. I mean, I walked in on none, walked out on 12. Being holistic, that was
Wow.
pretty tough. So I quickly
Yeah.
got off as much as I could, but I wasn't addicted to anything. I mean, just there were so many miracles. I mean, we had never had medical insurance our whole life. 2 months before I went in, my friend talked me into getting a quote. We did it, got it. Bill was over 100 or 100, no, sorry, $1 million. So
Wow.
just so many things that happened that were just like, wow,
Hmm.
you're blessed.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Well, how did those experiences change the way you see life?
Well, so in the near-death experience, I'll tell you a funny story first. I always went, I think almost every time I can think of, because I had lots of out-of-body experiences. I was like coherent enough to know in my brain that if I didn't take my bed with me on these journeys, that I might not get it back. And my body was there. And so like my bed went with me. Like I have crazy stories of like I would journey in my
Wow.
bed and then I'd leave my bed, I'd be out of my bed, but somehow it always had to come with me. So it came with me on all these out of body experiences. And then, of course, my spiritual experience was actually in my bed in my room. And then the near death, I was leaving to go to that experience, and I'm going down the hallways of the hospital and I'm seeing other beds, going, and I'm thinking half the people were dying in the hospital. They had like two full floors at that time, Delta version, which is still,
Wow.
I think, the worst of all of them.
Yeah.
And I think those were other people dying, honestly. Like, because I knew where I was headed, and my snarky self, I like remember sitting up, shaking my finger at the nurse's station, saying, "I rescind my DNR. I rescind my DNR. Do not
Oh
resuscitate."
dear.
Which is
Yes.
so different.
Oh,
If you think about it, it's so different than COVID. If I got in an accident and I'm on life support, that's one thing, right? I would never want to
yes.
live as a vegetable or whatever.
No, of
But
course.
it's COVID. Give me a chance, right? I mean, it was,
Yes.
I don't even know at that time if I had a DNR. I remember
Yeah.
though, you had to, they pretty much got me out of a coma to make me sign to get the intubation. And I'm thinking, huh,
Wow.
isn't that a
Yeah.
little duress? I'm just signing under
Yeah.
duress. Anyway, whatever. But I remember I had to sign each time. I don't know what it looked like, but I had to sign. So
Yeah.
in the near death, when I'm having these experiences, I was told two things before I was sent back. I was not given a choice to come back or stay. I think I would have stayed, honestly. I think anybody that was in that place, if they could choose, if they didn't have an
Yeah.
assignment,
Yeah.
they would stay. No offense to anybody that wants them here on
No,
earth.
no. Yeah. Wow.
I didn't get to choose.
Wow.
But before I came back, I was told two things. I was told to start this nonprofit, and I was given the name Adventure Bucket Wish, but I was not given the mission. So that's a whole other story. And then
Hmm.
I was told the day I found out I had COVID, I was really sick. And I got up and I pitched to a company. So Retreat R&R was just a concept. It wasn't incorporated. It was like an Airbnb, a booking and hosting site for retreats. Okay. That's what the
Oh,
original plan was. So
okay.
needed, still so
Yeah.
needed. All
Yeah.
these years later, still so needed. Anyway, I was pitching nine people who were on this company that had a billionaire backer. So I was like really excited to work with them because there's the money and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So I was told not to partner with them, that that wasn't the highest and best thing to do, that it needed to stay my own. And it's so interesting now. It's been, over 4 years, and I'm got like all the things I've learned since and why. Because at the time I'm a little bummed. So I did everything I was supposed to. Somehow, because I was sick for like a year and a half after. Like I had long
Hmm.
COVID after. I was on oxygen for months and months and months. Somehow within 4 months, I had both companies incorporated. I had got my 501(c)(3) in like 25 days. I think that was another miracle. Like it just all these things just like kept just assisting me. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting though how when you do, it's like I didn't even question it. I just did it. Like I
Yeah.
knew that was what the mission for the nonprofit became for long COVID because it was underserved. It was so needed. Nobody had a clue. I go to my doctors and I should have billed them because I would fill them in on all my research. And, back then AI wasn't a thing, where we could go and
Yes.
just check out things. But like really they had no clue. There was 100 million people suffering, 200 symptoms attached to it, which is everything.
Wow.
And I probably had at least 60 of them going on at one time. I mean, it was
Wow.
just like,
Wow.
ah, and especially when you're healthy. And so
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
shifting going on. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what does the experience teach you about faith, intuition, inner guidance?
Oh, yeah. So the shift became surrender, hope, intuition, faith, and transformation. And if you think about the
Ah,
word, the bookends are surrender and transformation. And you really
yes.
can't have one without the other. I mean, to
No, you
know
can't.
to get anywhere, you really need to surrender where you're at. Nobody does it
Yeah.
alone. Any
Yeah.
person that I know of anyway that has any kind of success behind them, if they say they did it by themselves and nobody helped them, there's something wrong. 'Cause I don't believe
Yes. Yes.
everybody needed a lift somewhere along the line. We all do, right?
Yeah. Wow. Well, how did your spiritual perspective influence the way you built your life after all of that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was raised very religious. So I would have said before I was religious spiritual, and
Ah,
now definitely the flip-flop. Um,
ah,
yeah, it's interesting how that's all just pan out, just a bigger, it's just so much bigger than us. And the messages I got, I mean, people say it takes 10 years to unpack things when you have a near-death experience, and I'm only 4.5 years in. I'm excited for that. 2 years in, I had a hypnosis session. I'm certified for hypnosis, so I'm very familiar with the process. Not
yeah,
scary, by the way. You can
yeah,
open your eyes at any time, nobody's
yeah,
doing anything weird. My mentor, I asked him if he would do it because for the book, I felt like there were gaps in the story of just the near death part of my story, and I wanted to be in integrity telling it. And so
yeah.
we did that, and it was almost, I hate to compare it, but it was almost like having another near death experience. And in there,
Mm,
I got messages that I didn't remember. I saw things that I didn't remember. I asked questions that I didn't think about when you're in the near death experience. Like everything is so pure and so perfect and positive, you don't have a negative thought. And so later, like my life review, I only saw good. I mean, that's great, but I know I've done plenty of naughty things. Like, why am I only
yes,
seeing the good? Well, I would have
yeah,
never thought to ask that in the actual near death, but in the hypnosis, I had had 2 years to think about it. I had just gone through 2 years of what I call hell after that, when you think your life's going to be great, and it wasn't.
yeah,
It was the
yeah.
worst 2 years of my life.
Oh,
And I was told, I was told a couple things there. I was told more will be revealed to you when the time is right. I love that. Normally that would make me crazy because I want to know
yeah,
everything now. I don't.
yes,
I'm like, it's too much information.
yeah,
Thank you for like loading me when I'm ready.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then I was told also the message, love them where they're at. And if I would have
Mm,
been told that or remembered that from the original, it would have
mhm,
shifted those 2 years of hell that I had, that I know now looking back are all of the lessons that I had to have and learn from those
mhm.
2 years for all the philanthropy work I'm supposed to do in the future. Like, I feel like I was handed a life Bible, so to speak,
Yeah,
with the ending already written. This is what it is. This is how it is. You just have to fill in the
mhm,
pages. Who gets that? Like, I'm
yeah.
grateful for that. I mean, the pages
Oh,
in between
absolutely.
aren't always going to be fun,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
get to
It's
have them to have that.
yeah. I mean, purpose. People want to know their purpose, and some people strive to find that and never do all their lives. I believe that we're nudged here and there, and we either listen and do it, or we ignore it and
Pay the
it not,
consequences.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, what was the hardest part of coming back after such a profound experience?
Hmm. I think because where I was full of love and full of everything good, and then to come back here to all this negative and most things bad. I mean, it's what
Yeah.
we make it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just so many things out of our control. And
Hmm.
there to sit in a space where it's just I ended up in a stadium of light is what I call it. So I compare it to like a football stadium, but there were hundreds and thousands of people in there, and they were all floating. So I could see feet. So I knew they were all floating. And the communication was just so like I could have an answer before I had a fly, it was just like do, do, do,
Yeah.
do, do. And the light and the love and the music and just everything about it was just like, why would I go back? I
Mhm.
mean, I jokingly say I have 8 adult kids. I can probably help them a lot better from the other side than I'm doing here, or haunt
Yeah.
them or something.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, it's just so different. And so like I want my life, first of all, my breath is everything because that's what I lost. So I don't
Yeah.
want to waste my breath. And
Yeah.
when people ask me questions like, what did you do to get better? Or, like they want to do what I did or whatever. my list is long. And it's like, my question back to people is, what are you willing to do? Because that's really what matters
Mhm.
to me. Because how
Yes.
many people want to live in that victim mode? I didn't. I wanted to get better. My motto every
Yeah.
day was better's better. And what can I do today to be better than I was yesterday? And I mean,
Yeah.
that's for my health, but like, let's take that into our daily lives. Why not keep saying that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not have today something I learned yesterday do better and different today? Like that
It's a
just better's
great,
better.
it's a great question. We should all ask ourselves that every day.
Yeah.
We should all ask ourselves that.
Why don't we want to live moving forward? I don't want to live.
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
And
exactly.
purpose, when you were saying, I just want to share that. Purpose was
Yeah.
what I got out of this whole thing. Purpose, really can honestly say I never felt like I had. I mean, I'm in my
Mhm.
50s when this happens, and I'm thinking, why aren't I figuring this out? Like, what is my why? I mean, sure, I've raised great kids, I have great grandkids, whatever.
Yeah.
There's more. I always knew there was more. But I also want people to understand your purpose is different than mine. Like, to learn that my purpose is like this international world-changing thing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's a responsibility, honestly,
Yes.
and a weight. But I've said this before. Somebody else's purpose could be that mother that is staying home with a child and she's raising the next president of the United States. How did her purpose
Ooh.
just become
Oh, I got
one?
shivers. Yes, absolutely. We just don't know. Wow.
So,
Yes. Yeah. What did dying teach you about business? Because you are an entrepreneur at heart.
yeah. Ooh, that's a deep question. Because I felt like I knew I never know everything. Like I'm a lifetime learner.
Yeah.
I always want to learn. Um, I mean, I could have a doctorate degree for all the classes and things I've taken, but I took
Yeah.
what I wanted, not what they told me to. Like whatever was going to help me. And so I think
Yes.
I was always in that space anyway. But I think just always knowing, going to that place and coming back and just always wanting, to me, part of being better is learning. That is
Mm.
growing. That is
Yes.
changing and adapting and realizing, being resilient and realizing I can make mistakes and things can go wrong, but what can go right? Like what's the possibility over here, and shifting that mindset. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is just taking that shift to the next best for you.
Yeah.
And that's going to look
Yes,
different for everybody.
it is. Yes. So, what is your mission behind the International Retreat Association?
Oh, I feel like it's going to bring so many people together to
Mm.
learn that there's not one until now. And why me? God gives, I think, tens and thousands of people the same idea, but why don't they take action? Like
Yeah.
I mean, I promised when I got the idea, I did not have time to go down that. I went down the rabbit hole just to realize there wasn't one, which perked my interest. So it's like knowing God entrusted me with that idea while I was in a really spiritual place writing this book. I made a promise. Hey, get me to my deadline. My deadline was 1111, which was, a number and the number I got out of the hospital. So November 11th. And I just said, hey,
Wow.
don't let me miss my deadline. Help me, assist me, and I will give 110 as soon as it's launched and we're past that. And so in December, after we launched the book, I did. I set Retreat R&R aside. I said this can hold. I'm giving 110. This is what I promised. It feels great. Here we go. I know I'll have the right people show up. And I think it's just like changing. Retreats change people's lives. There's always some kind of transformation in there, no matter what kind of a
Mm.
retreat it is. And so I think
Mhm.
to think about how many lives are going to be born, like, or reborn out of doing retreats, not just giving retreats, but attending retreats and serving at retreats
Yeah.
is so much
Yeah.
bigger. And in the end, to be honest, my ultimate goal is to be a check writer because all the philanthropy work I want to do in the
Yeah.
future takes a lot of money. And I've never been money focused, never been money motivated like I need to be for this. It's like
Right.
the end of the story is all of that. But I feel like the 2 years of hell was the ick I had to live in, especially for a lot of the philanthropy work close to my heart that I had to see and I had to live and I had to fill, so to
Hmm.
speak. Because I'm telling you, it was not, I prayed every day for those 2 years I would have died. I was just like,
Yeah.
why?
Oh,
Why am I alive? Why am I going through this? This is not fun. Um, and now I know that it's like the end result. And so it's like, for me, the selfish why is this became the means to the end. And in the midst of it all, what could be better than retreats? Like I felt like I had a spiritual retreat, right? And now we get to create all this and help people. There's no professional standards until now. There's no real values. Everything's fragmented. Now we're putting all the pieces together. And somebody asked me
wow.
today, like, they would ask me for some stats. And I said, there is like the retreat association's in its own lane. There's nothing like it to compare to get you those
Yeah.
numbers. But I said, wouldn't that be cool if that became kind of our responsibility to do that research and get those numbers for you? And he said, I
Yeah.
think that is where you would get them from. And I thought, ah, I'm glad he sees that. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, then there's also that weight. Oh, now you have, yeah, this is what you have to do. This is what your responsibility is. And
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
so
Well, what do
much,
you
so
think?
much.
What do you think leaders need to understand about resilience that they may often overlook?
I think that they can go through hard things and come out the other end just fine, if not better. I want to say better.
Mm.
I think sometimes
Hmm.
people are resistant to all of that. And
Yeah.
of course we are. I mean, who
Yes.
wants to have
Yeah.
resilience, right? I mean, that's not what I pray for every day. Can I have a little resilience so that I can come out better on the other end? I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. And interesting that you say that because we rebranded just now recently in the last couple months the nonprofit. Okay, so there's a whole story behind it, but I'll just tell you, we rebranded to RBL Women, which is Rebel Women, which stands for
Ah.
Rise, Build, Lead. And it's for women that have gone through resilience and adversity. Okay, what woman hasn't?
Yeah.
It's to
Yeah.
help them find their purpose. So, like, can you see how all the pieces to the puzzle
Yes.
for me are fitting into the retreat world and the philanthropy world?
Yeah.
It's just like all these whys are why nots. And
Yes.
why not?
Yes. Wow. So interesting. What do you say to someone who's in the middle of their hardest season and they cannot yet see the lesson?
Oh, or as I would say, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes,
You
or
don't have
that.
to almost die to truly live. That's
Yeah.
always my saying.
Aw.
Um, you know what? I would say get on every if it's a financial thing for you, get on every free thing. YouTube University, get on there and listen and watch every positive thing that you can have. Think of all the
Mhm.
positives in your life, maybe make a list of all the negatives and then how do I get those out of my life and
Yeah.
focus only on the good. And I think that'll put you in a better mind state that you're only looking for the good. If you're only looking for the good, it's a lot easier to find.
Yes, I believe that we see what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but get the negative out. Like think of
You got
ways,
to
'cause,
get it out.
sometimes we have somebody in our life, sometimes they're
Mhm.
family, sometimes they're a spouse or a partner.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm just saying, are you wanting to move forward or you might wanting to move backwards? And how does moving forward make you feel? And how does moving backwards make you feel? And what
Yeah.
is just look at those choices and really sit with them because you have intuition. Everybody has that for themselves, especially. Sometimes we
Yeah.
just don't know how to listen to it. And that gut feeling's there for a reason, and you're having it for a reason. So focus on the good.
Yeah. How do you think people can rebuild when they're feeling physically, emotionally, or spiritually exhausted?
How they can refill?
Or well, how they can rebuild?
Oh, rebuild. Oh, refill.
Well,
That's
or that too.
that. I'm like, hmm, yeah. I think it goes back to kind of what I was just talking about. I think it's just focusing on the good and really,
Mm.
I think that love them where they're at message comes to me often because that takes the judgment away. And I think when we're judging everything, that's also that heaviness and that, feeling of defeat and feeling of losing. And we want to feel winning, right? Everybody wants to win,
Yes.
even if you're not competitive, you want to win. And
Yes.
I think it's just, yeah, sitting with that emotion and really, me, I always band-aided everything. And then it gets ripped off and there's the scab gone. And now I got a wound again, Oh, now I got to band-aid that one
Yes.
again. Instead of really like digging and feeling like, why am I feeling this way? And why is this happening? And what can I do to change it? Because really
Hmm.
the only person we can change is us. And we want
Absolutely.
to change other people, but in the end, we can change us, which sometimes does change other people. That shifts or
Absolutely.
shifts your perspective and how you look at things differently. Because sometimes when someone points something out to you, don't you just go, I never thought of it that way. Like I love when people do that.
Yeah. Yes.
And or if they'll say, can I give you some feedback? Or hey, you can't be mad at someone that you gave permission to give you feedback on.
That's
And
right.
my answer is
Yes.
usually, yeah, but don't be upset if I don't take it. Like if I don't
Right.
do it, because that's my
Yes.
free agency.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, what role does community play in healing and transformation?
Mm. Community? Do you say, oh,
Commu-
I'm all about community. Oh
Yeah.
man. That's been my motto. Yeah, community, build, let's see. Now I'm like, build relationships, build community, build prosperity. That was even, I had a magazine and that was like our motto. Because to me, you start at the bottom, you start with the relationship and you build that up, and then you build bigger and you build a community. Prosperity to me isn't all about money. You can be
Mm.
prosperous in a lot of things. In Utah, it's
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
There's a lot of
Yes.
kids here. I'm from a big family. But it's just to me being prosperous is like a feeling of joy about whatever it is that you're abundant in. And it doesn't have to be money, but community is like the core of it all. To me, it's like
Hmm.
that's surround yourself with the people you want to be around, right? They always say
Hmm.
that? I want to be the dumbest one in the room, to tell you the truth,
Hmm.
because I don't always want to be the leader. I want to be the
Yeah.
follower of powerful leaders. I want to be in a room where I'm learning all the time. I'm not the one
Yes.
always people are coming to. I mean, sure, that feels great, but at some point, I'm not going to grow if that's the case. I've got to be.
Yeah.
So I think it's just bringing the community that you want and building and surrounding yourself around the community that you want to help you get to where you want to be. I think that's
Yes.
huge.
Yeah, for sure. How can women learn to trust their inner guidance again after trauma, illness, loss, major change? How can they trust that inner guidance that's there?
Yeah, well, especially me, I've made choices. I'm a fast decision maker, which I
Mm.
think is really important.
Yes.
I've never really looked back and been so sorry, like because to me it became a stepping stone to something better, or it became a learning lesson that I chalked it up for not gonna let that happen again. But it be in that gratitude. And I think that's where we need to sit with
Mhm.
those things is in the gratitude, because in the gratitude is when a lot of that will change and the good will show itself, But yeah, I think women we beat ourselves up. I mean, men do
Yes.
too. I think women more so. We beat ourselves up over every little thing that we do wrong. And I mean, I remember laying there dying, literally dying, and saying, am I enough? Did I do enough? Did I serve enough? What kind of legacy am I leaving? Like, you have those thoughts
Mhm.
when you're actually dying.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
okay, we have those thoughts when we're actually living. So
Yes.
what can we do when we're living? Because you're
Mm.
not, I mean, I'm over here, but you're here. And it's like, let's focus on, okay, well, what can change that state of being what right now? Like when I'm beating myself up, what makes you
Yeah.
feel better? I think a lot of people, even now when people say, what are your hobbies? I'm like, do I have any hobbies? I mean, I like doing mine was always work because you know what?
Yes.
Every bit of work
Yeah.
I did was usually service oriented. I had a hair
Yeah.
salon. I was a cosmetologist, an esthetician, a nail tech, and an instructor. That lit me up. That was my hobby, work.
You were
And it's like,
constantly serving others.
that's just what I built my life around, but
Yeah.
I made money doing it.
Yes.
Coaching,
Yes.
I remember somebody say, how long have you done hair? I don't know. At that time, it was like 15 years. Well, then you've been coaching for 15 years. You've had people in your chair. Do they come back? Do they pay you? Do they, And it was
Yes,
just
that's
like,
true.
that's what I'm trying to make the point is it's perception. It was like,
Yes.
I guess you're right. Been a coach for 15 years. You bet.
Yes.
Do you coach them? Yeah. I mean, your hairdresser,
Yeah.
you tell everything to. You know, I knew way more stuff than I ever wanted
Yes.
to.
Yes. Yes. My best friend is a hairdresser. And yeah, she's been doing it for 30 years. And she's a
She knows
coach.
everything.
She
Yeah.
knows, oh my goodness, she's got advice out of the yin yang. She just,
Sometimes they know more than your partner.
yes, yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, what about fear? Has your relationship with fear changed at all? Or were you experiencing any problems with that emotion, fear?
So when I was doing the hypnosis, I always felt like what came up was fear of success and fear of
Mm,
failure. And I thought, how do you have both? So I did struggle with that a lot. Fear of death, never, not even, not before, definitely not now. And a lot of people, I think, live in that fear. So
yeah.
I can't say I relate to any of that. I get over things pretty quickly. So I just feel like I just I'm not a dweller, you know? I
Yes.
don't overthink stuff. That's just not my personality. I'm an idea person. So it's just like, on to the next thing. Or I'm solution based where it's like, okay, well, what can we do to fix this? So I'm probably not the best one to ask those kinds of questions too, because
Yeah.
I don't sit in the wallow, you know, and the poor
Yes.
me thing and the victim and not
Yes.
criticizing anyone that does. That's just like
No.
that's personality
Yeah.
style, right?
Yes. But it's interesting that you say that you did have the fear of failing and you had the fear of success. I mean, that just keeps you stuck. What do you
Yeah, it
do?
did. Yeah,
Wow.
because I couldn't think bigger. Like I
Yeah.
never could visualize because I did a lot of personal development work, so and hypnosis and things, and I never could see my future 5 years in the future. And I always thought, oh, it's because you're going to die young. I always thought I'd die young. I'm not that young
Yeah.
now, but laying there almost dying, I'm thinking, oh, well, this is probably it. I mean, I'm really negotiating like this is probably the time. This is the death. This is
Yeah.
whatever. What does that look like? You know, I mean, there were all those thoughts, but there was no fear around that. But I think the fear of
Hmm.
success was maybe if I get that or I succeed in that, I'm going to be judged or, I'm going to lose my friends or I'm not going to be liked
Yeah.
anymore. I do like to be liked. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're never
Yes.
going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
I've never sat in a place where now like with this retreat association, there is no imposter syndrome around it. That is
Mm.
weird for me and probably a lot of people.
Hmm.
Like
Yes.
because I know it was a God gift is what I call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it's like tunnel vision, man. And when I wrote my book, that was the first time I let everything in my life sit and laser focused on that because I had
Yeah.
that deadline. I needed to do it. Oh my gosh, I'm so ADHD. I've never been able to do that before. Once I did it though, I knew I could. And so then
Yes.
when it was like made the promise, hey, get me my book deadline done, I will give 110. It's like that. Like today, someone just invited me something I really want to go to. No, because I got a deadline. I got some things I got to get done. And I've just never been
Yes.
like that. And so I
Yeah.
feel like when you have a mission and you have the purpose, which I never had
Hmm.
before,
Hmm.
you're energized. You know, you get
Yes.
excited to talk about it. I've never
Yes.
had a job that I really hated. If I did, I quit. Like I didn't do it anymore. It was
Yes.
short-lived because to
Yeah.
me, who wants to get up and suck every day?
Hmm.
Life,
Yes.
I don't, and I definitely don't now. I
Yeah.
every day's a gift, and let's just make it good.
Yeah. What are some signs that someone or a woman is being called into a new chapter but's resisting it? How would they know that they're being called but they're resisting?
Oh, I would think because you get everything that could go wrong thrown at you. I feel like when
Mm,
you're on purpose and when you're doing good, that's
yeah.
when everything's going wrong. That's when, and I'm not talking about your gut feeling like, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. I'm
Yes.
saying things are happening because you're doing good. Because when you're on purpose, I feel
Yeah.
like there's always an opposite to light and dark. And so I feel like when you're getting the adversity and when you're getting those bad, icky thoughts of I shouldn't be doing this or whatever, I feel like that's your dark side. Focus on the
Hmm.
light side,
Yes.
because that's where there's always opposition. So if your gut's saying, no, I'm okay, I don't know why I'm feeling this, I don't know why these things are happening, it's
Yeah.
just it's just opposition.
Yeah. Wow.
Push through.
Well, was it difficult to share your personal experience publicly?
No, because I ran for political office. I felt like all
Oh,
my skeletons were out. And now, I mean, okay, I will
Hmm.
say it, oh man, when I was writing the book, okay,
Yeah.
if you can get through the first chapter, raw you. I mean, because it's raw. It's very vulnerable. There are things that came up and stories that came up that I had never told before.
Mm.
I love when people say, I couldn't put it down. Like I wanted to read it and read it and read it. And I was like, oh, I mean, that making me feel good, because
Yes.
it was so vulnerable. But I also remember it sitting at my computer and reading stuff and saying literally out loud in my office, damn, that's good. Like I was like, whoa. But I felt like because I was being blessed writing it, right?
Yes.
I was getting the juices going. And I would get edits back from the second part that's the personal development. And I would read those edits sometimes like I felt like I read them the first time. And it was
Mm.
my writing. Like I feel like God's hands was so much in that I can't even take credit almost for the book, other than my personal story that I lived. I definitely can take
Yeah.
credit for that because I lived it. But
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting to have those personal shifts. We all get them.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yeah. What would you say to a woman who has survived something life-changing but is afraid to tell her story?
Okay, Nike says it best. What does Nike say?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do
Just
it.
do it scared, do it
Yeah.
hard, do it crying, do it laughing, whatever it takes. And
Mhm.
someone's waiting to hear that message from you. And who are you not to give it? And who are you not to be who you are? And
Yeah.
be the woman, probably that's who's listening, be the woman that you're supposed to be. And if you don't know what that
Mhm.
looks like, just remember, focus on the good. It'll happen.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
purpose. Focus on the good and it'll all come out. But just do it for
Yeah.
sure.
I loved what you said about, who are you not to share it because I interview so many women about their stories and they're all and most of the women who have written in my book series are brand new writers. We have some
Yeah,
that have written in others, but most are brand new.
sure.
And I can tell you that 99% of these women have said to me, well, if I can just help one person, it'll be worth it.
I say that sometimes on my podcast too. I say
Yeah,
that because
yeah.
to me, who's that one going to become because of you?
Yes, yeah. You
I
don't
mean, they
know
could,
who's tuning in. You don't know who's going to pick up that book. You don't know who's listening to us right now, and
right.
who is going to be life. And not everybody reaches out and says, "Hey, I saw your podcast. I read your book. Thank you so much. My life has changed." But it happens. We
Yeah.
just don't know that it's happened, but it
And I don't
100%
have to know,
happens.
but I
No,
want to. I want to.
yes, yes, of course, yes. But I
But
think
yeah,
for those women that are afraid to tell their stories, they're worried about judgment and, maybe they think their stories don't matter. They do. And if you can't write it for yourself, write it for the one who needs to hear
yes.
it.
So
Yeah.
go back to love them where they're at
Yes.
with you. Love
Yeah.
you where you're
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, well, I want everyone to know that we are going to have some information to reach out to Holly in the show notes. So please investigate in there and grab her book. It looks like well, not even look, it sounds like a spectacular book. And I think it's worth a read. So grab that book and have a good read and follow to find out what's going to happen with this retreat association she's got going on. Very exciting stuff. Well, Holly, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I've just loved our conversation. I love listening to everything you said. It's just then thank you for being brave enough to share because some of us don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And now I know a lot more because I was able to listen to you. So thank you.
Well, thank you for asking such great questions.
Oh,
And
you're
have
welcome. You're welcome. Well, everybody, I would love to keep chatting with Holly, but we are hitting our time where we have to stop. So, thank you all for being here on this episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. And I hope you tune in to the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.